Alright. This is July the 22nd, 2022. Man, I forgot to check the time. Like, it's like 6:30, maybe 7 a.m. in the morning. It's like, it's a foggy, muggy morning here in Tennessee, East Tennessee, Morristown, Tennessee. Welcome to the projects. Welcome to the reality of being an indigenous elder in the United States. And I'm sitting in my kitchen one more time telling stories. The Yellow Buffalo survival tapes. Have the windows open, so it's not like when I'm talking here in the winter time. I've done a few tapes of talking in the winter when the windows are closed and you can't hear all these sounds. Like you can hear the birds and the cars driving by, and if somebody has an altercation right outside my door. On July the 5th, 5:15 in the morning, I woke up and they woke me up because they were pushing on the screen of the window, and they climbed in the window, and when they climbed in the window, that's what, I woke up to that, and this person was walking towards me, laying there in the bed, and they're walking over towards me, and I think they were just like wanting to go and steal my medication out of my medicine cabinet in the bathroom, looked like a teenager, I was like, hey, let's go get some free dope off this old man. Except I don't have no free dope. I woke up and said, what the hell are you doing? And they went, oh damn, and just ran, jumped out the window. And I looked and figured out, okay, they busted my screen out, so I shut the window so birds wouldn't fly in and out or whatever, and went back to bed. And it was 3 o'clock in the morning. I realized, hey man, this is property damage. The screen needs to be repaired or whatever, and so I called in and reported it to the police department, and then called housing and reported the work order, and the policing on. He comes out and he's talking to me about what happened, and I'm describing it, and he's like, you sure you didn't dream this? And I'm like, well, I didn't dream that my screen got busted out. I mean, it's like, what kind of question is that? I'm an old man, but wow, the fact that the evidence is my screen. He didn't even go out and look at the screen. I mean, he was so slack about this situation. But the point is, this person they busted in the wrong apartment, like their house, whatever, like that, and it's not going to bode well for them. That's what we say. But anyway, that was July the 5th, and this is what it is like here. But yeah, that's a couple of weeks ago, on the 6th or 5th, it was like around the 5th or 6th, somewhere in there. I was like, this person I haven't seen in like 30 years. But we've gotten back in touch with each other, and we'd met at this place called Eagle Voice Center over in Maryland, and it was like this art professor over there who taught at the University of Maryland. He had a farm, and so he would host Native American ceremonies and so forth. These events, these doings, and that's where we met. So he's called me up and said, "Hey, this person, he died 6 years ago, and his wife is she didn't run the farm. They had sheep and so forth, and so she's not running the farm, and she's just like by herself there, and so she's gonna put the property on the market. So this this dance ceremony that was sort of a prototype Sundance. I think started it 42 years ago, and so this was going to be the last one. And I danced there in '92 and '93, and it was part of my grieving process for my sister who died in November of '91. So it was like, hey, I would like to come and get you, and let's go to this last dance at Eagle Voice Center. So I explained, like amongst other things, I have this burn on my leg, which occurred while I was pouring water in Sweat Lodge during the summer solstice. So I was at a regional rainbow gathering over in North Carolina, and I wasn't really aware that I had a burn. So crazy about sometimes things like this happen, and while you're pouring water in Sweat Lodge, and you don't even realize it till a little bit later, and so my understanding of how things occurred is that there was a stone that was sedimentary or whatever layered, and when it got heated up in the fire, it's kind of like the thing that the glue between the layers that it allowed the layers to go loose. So when the stone came into the Sweat Lodge and in the stone pit, these layers separated as like slate or something, and so it's like these slats, and so they offset a little bit. So when you pour water, the water runs into these cracks, these crevices, and it heats up. Then the front line of the water, it goes to steam, and the steam expands and like just pushes this water out, this scalded water, and it hit my leg. So like pour water, and I'm in the dark, and so it's like I'm pouring water, and I usually notice, but I'm rusty. It's been a while since I poured water, but so I explained, hey, we're going to this dance, and like, well, I got this burn. I'm really, it's been a couple of weeks, but I'm still, got to watch for infection and stuff, so it's gonna, cause some problems, and I'm on some medication that makes life interesting and so forth. So all of these are concerns, and it was like, but I think it's doable, and yeah, I want to go. So he came on that Thursday, and I think it's July the 7th, and and we take off, and first thing we do is go and get some bitterroot. It's not like that bitterroot at ceremonies. Bitterroot's one of those, it's most common, its other name is calamus, and it's one of the most common plants, herbs around the planet. It's just about everywhere except Antarctica. At least that's what I'm told. I don't know, but and it, it's very beneficial if you have like stomach trouble and so forth. If you have a sinus infection, you can make a tea out of the bitter root. So there's just a whole long list of uses. But in ceremony, one of the things that it does is there's people that have a negative attitude, or they're really bad vibing on people or whatever. It's like it blocks that energy. So it's like, you get a little piece of bitterroot in your mouth and you go and sweat lodge with somebody and they're bad vibing at you, and it don't impact you. Because bad vibes will get you. So yeah, we went over to Hancock County and knew a place where there'd been someone that, I think they'd been coming around to sweats like 25 years ago, and then they had hepatitis C. I think that maybe, after they died, nobody lived in the house. Nobody's been there a long time. I was like, okay, let's go over there and get some bitterroot. And we went and got. It was right there in the ditch row. It probably was on the. There's a term for it. The right of way. Was probably still on the county right of way. It's a county road. So we got some bitterroot, took off, and went this dance. And when I was there 30 years ago, it was like, there's a lot of teaching going on, and one of the things that I appreciate about this center was as an educational, place to go and learn about Native American spirituality, was that if you went to a reservation, the teaching was such that you'd kind of like not make a fool of yourself, not really bad, And I'm there at this dance, and I'm kind of watching things, and it's like, I saw people like, you really don't want to go to the reservation and do or act that way, because they will not only take you to the gate of their Sundance there, but they will take you to the boundary of their reservation until you not come back. I mean, it was pretty, and I don't understand why that is. I mean, if you can learn, if you want to learn the ways of another culture, and this being indigenous culture of the United States here, the Plains people, the Plains natives, and you want to learn their ways, then learn their ways. Don't just learn enough to like, run around the circle and say, hey, look at me, I'm looking like I'm Indian. It's like, okay, and I just, sometimes I would just have to get up and walk away, and it's like, as we talk about appropriation and how, people just want to appropriate from another culture, and disrespect that culture in this process, and there's a whole bunch of that going on, and it was like at this rainbow gathering, and the vision of the rainbow warrior, this prophecy. I try not to use the word prophecy for whatever reason, but the prophecy of there would come a time when people from all nations around the world will start to come to the indigenous people here, and seek out the ways and the spirituality, and it has all colors, so that's why we refer to it as the rainbow warrior. And it's a whole bunch of information in this seeing things in the future. Well, the future is right now in that respect. And the Hopi Indians said, the Rainbow Warrior will, their first appear in this description, which was referencing Europeans and, European descent, and they would be known by a name similar to us, our name, which Hippie and Hopi are very similar. So back in the 60s, that was like when the first acknowledgement of the Rainbow Warrior prophecy coming about, and how these people would want to learn the ways of the indigenous First Nations people of the United States or in North America, because their ways have been lost through colonialism and industrial time period, Christianity and so forth, So, it's like wanting to be one of those people that can help bridge between this Rainbow Warrior, Rainbow Nation collective and indigenous people, and it's like, so when I'm at this dance, they're like, well, you tell stories. So for 4 days, I was a storyteller. During a break, I would tell stories for 30 minutes or whatever, with a mouthful of bitterroot, because there's a lot of negativity. There was some issues around the fact that, after 30 years I show up and I'm honored as a Sundance elder, even though I'd never been a Sundance leader. People didn't know how to treat a Sundance elder. I said, I'm the old man in the shade, I'll be the old man that sits in the shade, and it was like, I can do anything within reason, or I could do nothing at all, and within reason would include, I could pour water in the sweat lodge. Well, I requested, hey, I want to pour water in the sweat lodge, and a couple of white guys blocked that, and hey, I'm pouring water, and I'm like, hey, I'm not arguing with them. It's not like, you don't be confrontational. Okay, yeah, I went in and did the one water sweat, and the man that was pouring water, he sat there and he talked about the experience of the dance that day, and he framed it in his Roman Catholic Christianity perspective, and this is like this supposed Sundance leader explaining what just happened, but from his context, but I'm just sitting there, and because humility is an important part of our culture, and so just to be humble, So it was like back when I visited Rolling Thunder in 1991 and told him I had a dream and about him, and the context of the dream was that if I lived for 1 year in the old way, then I would take over his work when he died, which is to feed the people. And so I'm sitting in the kitchen because this represents I'm feeding the people. While I was there, we talked about the 7 challenges. And I'll talk about the 7 challenges. I don't like to repeat myself. It's one of the reasons I'm not a very good teacher. So I don't like to repeat myself, but sometimes I need to. We talked about the 7 challenges, and the 7th challenge is you lose everything, and live by wit alone for a period of time, maybe 7 years, maybe, it's that 7th challenge started for me in 2003, and went through mortgage, and all my friends, a bunch of people went away, and was able to survive and complete the 7th challenge in 2010, and I was homeless, and the universe didn't know what to do with me, so they dumped me in housing. And I was supposed to go back to the place I was at, and be able to host, continue hosting and teaching, passing on this information to young people, but I'm blocked from doing that. So I'm sitting in my kitchen in public housing, and that's the way medicine people get treated here in the United States today. It's like this is normal. This is the normal way of being a medicine person today. One of the things I talk about is how the Ice Age is coming back, and it only takes a couple of years from like it starts snowing in Canada, and 2 years later there's glaciers at the Ohio River. It don't take that long, and so this information, if we're going to utilize some of this information as a way for the species to survive, then it needs to be accessed, and it's like the young people that are the ones that need it. There's people that are like my peers that, oh, I'm interested in that, and it's like it's a waste of time trying to teach you this stuff. You should have been learning this stuff when you were like 15 years old. You got a nice 401k now. That's great. But as far as you being able to utilize this information, I'm wasting my time teaching the old people. It's the young people. I'm glad you're curious and interested, and it's good to learn, keep learning, but as far as who's going to be able to make the best of this information, it's the young people. And so one of the things I said during the talk is, hey, young people, if you're not, the elders are accessible, we're available, we're here. If you're not learning from your elders, it's your fault. And that's how it is today. It's your fault. And I have no idea if it's been 15 minutes yet or not, but I think I'm going to stop talking now. Widow.